My name is Hugo Godschalk. I am a consultant in Frankfurt, and I am analyzing complementary currencies since university. It's a long time ago. It was in the beginning of the 80s, and that was the point for my starting point for interest in all private money, all the money beside the conventional state money, and so I did a lot of research on this topic, and also as consultant. The original idea of demurrage is made by Hugo Godschalk. It was a German-Argentinian economist. It is a kind of depreciation, and pre-programmed depreciation of a banknote, or that it is not a banknote because not issued by a bank, of a local scrip or a complementary scrip. Implement demurrage is to increase the velocity of the speed of the money and to prevent hoarding. And that is the basic reason, because if you know that the money in your pocket is depreciating, so the value will become more or less within a certain period, you want to get rid of this money. And then you see, for example, if the depreciation rate is 2% per month, you see after 1 month, and there is a date on the backside of the note, it is 98 and then 96, etc. So at the end of the period, it is based on the depreciation rate. It could be 5% per year, it could be like the Chiemgauer, the most famous local scrip in Germany. It is 8% per year, so 2% per quarter. German and some of the French and also the English complementary currencies do have this demurrage. In Germany there's only one complementary currency as far as I know, that's the Chiemgauer, because you can have also the so-called e-Chiemgauer, the electronic Chiemgauer. So you have the Chiemgauer on your account as a deposit. And they also introducing this kind of demurrage on an account, and then they can do it on daily basis, not per quarter. So if you have the note of the Chiemgauer, it is 2% per quarter, and within the quarter there is a depreciation-free period. But if you have the Chiemgauer as a deposit on an account, cashless, you have like interest every day. You have a very small decreasing of the value of your account. About 50%, 55% of all the complementary currencies in Germany are based on demurrage, but the other 45% don't have demurrage. So you have to look to the different economic results. Is the Chiemgauer doing better because they have demurrage comparing to a local currency in Germany without demurrage? So you have to look to the figures, and I think, and that is I guess that every local scrip do have this incentive for a higher circulation than the euro notes, because the euro notes you can use them everywhere in Europe. So if you have, for example, 100 euros and you have 100 Chiemgauers, you want to get rid of the 100 Chiemgauers because you cannot use them everywhere. So they're very restricted. So you want to get rid of the bad money. It is of course very good money, but it is from an economical point, because it is restricted. The euro is better because you can use it everywhere. I have looked to the figures of history, because it is also practicing during the Great Depression in Austria, in Germany, in Switzerland, in France, and also during the Great Depression in the US. So we have hard figures, and if you're comparing the historical experiences, for example, Wörgl is a very famous example. The results of Wörgl are comparable to the results of some cities in the US with local currency without demurrage. So it could be, and we don't know. Maybe Wörgl was as successful as they were also without demurrage. There are no reasons, no hard facts to believe that the reason behind the success of Wörgl was the demurrage. Maybe it was also successful without demurrage. We do have examples of the United States, and where they also introduced a kind of stamp script, but it was not based on time depreciation, but you have to pay every transaction. So it was a kind of transaction tax on the script. So every person who used this script has to pay, for example, 2 cents, and that was a 2 cent of $1, so it is 2%. It was a 2% transaction tax on every transaction, and we know exactly how much additional sales volume this kind of script was generating, because we still have this kind of script, and we can look to all these little stamps, and every person have to sign it, so we know exactly the way of this script was going at that time. And we see most of them within 1 year the velocity, the speed of the currency was 50 times, and after 1 year 50 times it was used as for a transaction. So every $1 produced $50 local GNP, local production and local national income. And if you compare this kind of script, it has nothing to do with the idea of gazelle, for example, to Wörgl, the results I think are comparable. So I think all the local script which was issued during the Depression time in the US, they were terminated after the crisis. Mainstream economics, for example, the first one was John Maynard Keynes. He said Sylvia Gazelle was right, and he said because money, the money is superior to goods, and he was also convinced of this principle. And the reason why was something was not the same arguments like Sylvia Gazelle, because he said because money is a good which is accepted by everyone by agreement or by state protection as legal tender. So that makes one good in the economy a superior position to other goods. And this is a kind of liquidity premium. Money from a theoretical point of view should be neutral, but it is not neutral. It gives one good a superior position comparing to other goods, and so that is one of the main problems. As Keynes said, there was a lot of other problems, because if you are introducing demurrage, it is inefficient, because you have to stamp to fix all the stamps on the backside. The basic idea of Sylvia Gazelle was not a promoter of complementary currencies, not at all. He wanted to have a state monopoly, and he wanted to have a monetary reform, and he wanted to migrate all the money in the economy to a money with demurrage. And that was his idea. So it has nothing to do with complementary currencies. Similar project initiated by the German banks, by the saving banks. All the saving banks are also local, and they do have a very sophisticated system. It is a loyalty system for one town, and the way is more or less the same. The merchants are giving loyalty points to their customers depending on their sales volume, and with these points you can only buy other things at other merchants in the same town. So it is more or less the same, but it is initiated by the banks, and it is very sophisticated because it is like electronic money on the chip card of the German debit card, and every town can use this application. It is a standard application on every chip of all the 100 million debit cards in Germany. I guess that the local money, the local loyalty money, which was issued by the saving banks from volume point of view, I think it is could be much higher. Usually, if two persons are dealing, making business, they said, okay, I want to have euros, and I said to you, I prefer to pay you with Chiemgauer, then you, or otherwise I cannot make the deal.
Okay.
Then, so it is additional, and that's also the main marketing reason to attract retailers. It is additional, there are additional customers, and because they can attract their business and say, okay, we are accepting local scrip. Of course, it is not so good as the euro, but we are accepting it because we have additional clients. It's like accepting credit cards. An hotel is accepting American Express. They have to pay for it, about 3–4% of their turnover. But they are saying, okay, we have to do it, otherwise all the American tourists will not come in our hotel. So they are going to other hotels. So it is making me more attractive, and you have additional customers. And that is, I think, also one of the arguments. And of course, a lot of local stores are accepting local scrip, because they also want to stimulate, they understand the mechanism behind local scrip, and they want to stimulate the local business because they are part of the local business. So this is a self-help. I'm still asking why we should have a monopoly of the issuance of money. And that's, I think, a central question which was is only discussed in economic theory by a very small minority. And I think you have to discuss it, because monopolies are not producing the best goods and the best results. So we are convinced in our market economy that competition will improve quality, improve services, improve the products which are making. But in money, we are believing in a monopoly. Of course, it is controlled by the state, controlled by the central bank, and the money issuance, it is an oligopoly between banks, commercial banks, and the state. They're doing together. It is tolerated because the central bank says, few people in Bavaria and other towns, it have no economic consequences. But if, for example, if 20% of all the Bavarians are paying with local scrip, the central bank will have a problem, and they will prohibit it.